There's AI in this game, ladies and gentlemen, because when the developers are Chinese, there's no one to yell at by themselves. It's just an echo chamber. They have Gen AI dialogues with the NPCs.
Where's that journalist? Where you at now, son?
Mishka, that's exactly my point. Thank you for bringing that up.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week in Games 360. I'm Jen Donahoe. I play the marketing and publishing Yoda on the podcast. Today we have...
Aircrest, strategy investor.
Oh, you almost had enough delay. Phil Black, monetization. Sorry.
It's the Middle Eastern delay that he has. Mishka, founder whisperer. Hello.
All right, here's what we have on the podcast today. Fortnite's newest chapter just started, and it's a killer. It's a pun on Kill Bill. I'll talk to you about that later. ByteDance might be selling something, and it's not TikTok, but maybe it's Moonton. Arc Raider is crushing it. It's actually on track for maybe 10 million-ish units this year. And got a call out on South Park. Please watch South Park if you don't watch it. But there's also news on a different Arc, and that's Arc Games. Cress is going to cover that. There's a new Chinese game, Where Winds Meet. It has a really strong start, and mobile is coming on December 12th. There's a tale of two Steam games. Mishka is going to talk about a hit and a miss.
Steaming.
And then Phil is going to do a huge check-in for us on the 4X category and cover a game. I'm excited about that. Has to do with male and female gamers and how to target that. Be really interesting. So let's get into Shills. Phil, you want to do Shooter Monthly?
Yeah, Shooter Monthly number 2. It's out. It was a lot of fun. It continues to be like one of the joys of my month. We talk about skill-based matchmaking. Super important, not talked about enough in terms of the weeds. We talk about RedSec. How did it perform? Black Ops 7, the biggest flop, and Arc Raiders. We go into more detail than we did here in TWIG. And I have a wonderful cast of shooter hardcore fans there. And I'm just excited for number 3. It's been a lot of fun. Check it out.
Yeah, you guys do such a good job.
Yeah, that's a fantastic segment. Thank you, Phil. As a former shooter fan.
New intro music too. So buckle in for that one.
Thanks. On the podcast, we had Loyalty Platforms 101. So how to make money and grow your audience to those. And then we got to start shilling London. So London, PGC. Most importantly, Jen is being flown in as a precious cargo to London. We are doing Supper Club. We got something really interesting for this one. Shoreditch, Soho House. And then we most likely are going to do round table events. And this is going to be very product focused. And we're going to invite app companies. So anyways, this is going to be for London.
Can we talk about where it is yet? Or we
can't. We can't talk about where it is, but it's a really cool office of a really fun company that may or may not be doing games. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. All right. Yes, I'm excited to be able to travel again and be let out of the house for that one. So, Phil, you also wanted to shill a little bit on Sensor Tower. I saw you. Yes. I haven't seen you this excited in a while.
I have done reports for clients, and I always include weekly and monthly retention, which you see maybe a little bit more in like PC console and almost never in mobile. So basically, of the installs, and let's say week 0, how many of them came back in week 1, and how many installs on a monthly basis were in M0 came back month 1. Sensor Tower has this retention data now. They just announced it. It's inside of the product and live, and this is data we just haven't had access for forever, particularly in mobile, and I'm just really excited it's there. So like hats off to Sensor Tower. Ever since they bought App Annie, they are still grinding and still launching real features. So I'm very excited about this.
Nice. Oh, it's retention by unified. Oh, It was only by individual. Okay, I see what you're saying. I see why you're so excited. That is exciting. All right. So corrections. The first thing I wanted to just mention was we should be back live in Apple Podcasts. Mishka, fucked up and,
yes.
I can't curse. I can't curse in the first 10 minutes of the podcast. I just messed that up. We're back everywhere. So sorry. And then Mishka, I want to ask you about your next point, but talk about Dream Games budget.
Yeah. So I want to do a correction because this was informed to me by prestigious marketing people during Slush. I kind of ballparked that the launch of Dream Games would have cost $200 million a couple of episodes ago, and then got multiple sources telling me that it's close to $500 million that they have spent now on the launch. Because, well, when I was doing the CPI assumptions, I think I was there in around like $6 or something. But what I heard was the CPI started off from 17. and climbed up to $25-$26. So that's currently
this is Royal Kingdom.
This is
right?
Royal Kingdom, and this is US audience, so the primary audience. And this is kind of reference also to the last episode when we talked about match villains, how they have hard time scaling in the US. No shit, with $26 CPIs, of course you're looking elsewhere to get your users. So that's the one correction. And then also somebody corrected me on YouTube in a comment. I said Anno, or as the beautiful game from Ubisoft. And it's called Agno, because apparently if I say Anno, that's anus in Italian. Anyways, that game is not anus. That game is, something better.
That's more of a fitting name for that game, frankly.
No, it's so good. It's if you're a nerd, this is the game you play. Anno, the Rome edition, Pax Romana, whatever it is, it's amazing. The whole series is amazing. Stop fighting. Start
99% of the audience that never plays that game is falling asleep because no one gives a shit about
90%
anus.
Approval rate of that game. So.
My God. Well, I guess the games that each of us actually enjoy to play as real life people is fascinating to me. I'm a Royal Kingdom Royal Match nerd, and you love your strategy, ancient Rome, wacky strategy games. All right. All right. So let's get into it. Let's start off with Fortnite. They had their season finale. It was called 0 Hour, and it drew 10.5 million live in-game participants. They posted about this on X. They also had 3 million people who tuned in for the live stream. That's what I typically do, is watch it. It's a lot of fun, actually, to watch what's going on. They hit 16 million CCU for the first chapter launch. So Phil pulled a couple of screenshots for Fortnite GG that we're looking at just to show the absolute bump that they had going on there. So the other thing I thought was really interesting is, as a huge fan of Kill Bill, Quentin Tarantino has directed an animated Fortnite short called The Lost Chapter: Yuki's Revenge. So this brings to life a previously unfilmed scene from the Kill Bill script, and it's animated. It's done in Unreal Engine 5, and this is all tied in because he's re-releasing Kill Bill 1 and 2 together in theaters with like some edits and a little bit different pieces to it. And so you got to see a lot of the characters in that episode of Fortnite during the thing. So I thought that was super cool. And Phil, I think you see this as just like a licensing black hole, so to speak, right?
Well, I wrote a piece this week calling it almost like the anti-platform. Fortnite is really good at building this incredible licensing empire. And what we're looking at right now is just a series of IPs I pulled, nothing in particular, just a random sampling of IPs, as well as how hard it is for a lot of these games to get these IPs. So to give you one example, Ferrari has been notoriously hard to be able to secure as a license because there's a lot of requirements that Ferrari requires on, for instance, whether or not the Ferrari could be shown crashed. As one example, James Bond, notoriously hard to be able to get a hold of. You will see post Amazon how easy it is, but it sounds like James Bond is coming to Fortnite. It also sounds like Harry Potter, by the way, is coming to Fortnite. They've been able to get a lot of top tier IP that other games wouldn't be able to get. They've kind of like sucked up all of these huge IPs. And when you compare it to what we'd normally think of as a platform, it almost is the anti-platform, right? It's not as though these things are standing on top of it. It's sucking everything in around it. And when we go back and look at the Fortnite GD numbers, I think it is just really a testament to this still being the case, that they still haven't quite built the platform. So if you look at this huge spike here, which is the season 6, or excuse me, the new chapter launch, the chapter 7 launch, they got to around 9 million concurrents, which is way, way above their prior high over the last couple months, where it was around 2 million has been their daily peak. But when you look at UGC maps and where their CCU are, they are not having the same increase. Of course, that's because the map Premiere, the map that all of the players were on, is an Epic provided one. But again, they're not seeing all this uplift on the UGC UFN maps, which again speaks to the problem that they're not really building a platform yet. So they still have the licensing. It's really just pulling this whole kit and caboodle together, is them continuing to nail all this stuff, but it's not translating to the UFM platform yet. And I think that's kind of been their challenge.
What they did do on that point that was super cool was that during the 0 hour event, which is basically like Avengers Endgame, there's a moment where all of the collabs show up. So you've got everything from Avengers, Homer Simpson, Godzilla, Mortal Kombat, Squid Game, Power Rangers, Megazord, Superman, Kill Bill, K-pop Demon Hunters was actually part of this as well. So all these characters pop in. They also, for the first time, featured some of the UGC or UEFN creator characters. So I don't know if you guys know Fode. I think that's the Future Trash team. So some of the most popular UGC islands, they have their own characters. Those showed up as well. So that was a great nod that Epic and Fortnite were giving to the entire ecosystem, saying for the first time, like, hey, we're all in this together. So I think that's a great sign that they're moving in a direction to really bring all the UGC people into the fold.
This is from the AREAM Investment Bank's presentation. They had concurrent users on major UGC platform, and the size of Roblox compared to Fortnite and compared to Steam is astonishing. If you're not seeing the graph, you're listening to this. Roblox peaked at 21 million concurrent users, whereas Fortnite is peaking somewhere along 3 million concurrent users. So this is quite of a interesting graph. Phil, you had some take on this?
I mean, look, I think if I were to play the Eric Kress card, it's like, what's ARPU? Where's the money? Roblox still has a shit ton of users, but again, $20 per month per payer, and there aren't many payers. Like, that's always been the problem.
I would take 3 million Fortnite players over 20 million Roblox players in a goddamn day,
Really?
dude.
Really?
Oh, yeah,
I don't
because they're
know.
actually spending money. So, like, you know, CCU, MAU, downloads, all this stuff is like total vanity metrics. And they only matter when the hype cycle is high, right? When the stock market's going up and everyone's all excited about user base. At the end of the day, when the rubber hits the road is how much money you're making per user, right?
Yeah,
and so
it's ARPDAU.
ARPDAU, revenue per user, whatever, conversion, all these metrics, like Roblox is like a third world majority platform, right? So it's irrelevant how many are playing in India or Pakistan or whatever. It's like, it's irrelevant, right? So anyway,
Yeah. I think they make almost 5 billion Roblox in 2024. I would assume they're over 5 billion this year. Add little ads, little crazy games into it, and it'll be into
look,
10
I'm
billion.
not suggesting that Roblox is not a great platform and it's doing quite well for itself. I'm saying when you're comparing CCUs, you have to actually understand what the revenue is, the numerator, not the denominator on these users.
I get your point. I agree.
And I don't love CCU. I agree with that. I like DAU a little bit more, but it does show trends. It does show the interesting change in tastes that many of the audience have. But absolutely, you know, for what we do and from the business side, you also care about.
On the positive sides of this big jump in CCUs, it is games like Grow a Garden that actually monetize reasonably well, right? Like these are really egregious, like, you know, monetization methods. So that's actually good because a lot of the games that have high CCUs historically have been games that don't monetize extremely well.
Let's be honest, you're tired of chasing installs across the same crowded network. We all are. That's why Vibes built a new playbook. They're the fastest growing gamified rewards platform, and they're helping studios scale smarter, not just bigger. AI-powered targeting means you finally hit the audience you want. And with their new ROAS optimization engine, performance doesn't just grow, it levels up. So if you're looking for growth with a fresh angle, check out Vibes. It's built different, it's designed for growth, and it's powered by good vibes. Check out their DOF exclusive case studies by following the link in the description and go to vybs.co. That's vybs.co. Share your email and join the waitlist.
Using clunky payment systems in your game? That's like fighting a boss with a wooden sword. AppCharge gives you the power-up you need. Seamless in-app purchases, global payments, and analytics that don't require a PhD. Monetize smarter, not harder. AppCharge, because your game deserves better loot.
All right, let's keep going. Let's talk about ByteDance, Chris.
Yeah, so again, there's just more rumors about ByteDance, you know, divesting all their mobile investments. And the last thing I think they have is Moonton, which makes a few games, but mostly Mobile Legends, Bang Bang. So they bought the company for like $4 billion back in 2021. They were trying to get rid of it in 2023, but were unsuccessful. But they seem to be in close negotiations with Savvy potentially this time around to sell it. I have a hard time believing that it's worth $4 billion anymore, given the current conditions in mobile, just in general. Also, the fact that their overall business is down like 20%. I mean, it would be a good pickup. It's a great game and a good team in Asia.
$200 million MOBA game. Damn. Who doesn't want to have a MOBA in their portfolio?
Yeah.
Huge.
I mean, this is the MOBA. This is number 3 genre rank with inside of MOBAs. I mean, that's not a small game. That's
a deep
huge
genre.
game.
It's a deep genre.
Yeah, and Southeast Asia. So this one, I remember this one from my Wild Rift League of Legends days, was a massive competitor to when Wild Rift was going to launch, and then also against Honor of Kings, which obviously dominates in China. So those are the 3 kind of mobile MOBAs that dominate, and Mobile Legends Bang Bang is predominantly massive in Southeast Asia. But you're right that is a particular market that only kind of exists there, and they can't expand Western. So I think that's the challenge, is you're only playing in that small pond.
Mm.
They've been doing a lot of weird UA stuff. We haven't had a chance to cover Acecraft, but this is where they basically took Cuphead and they decided to transform it into a mobile free-to-play title with a lot of what Cuphead's visual art style is. And if you remember, Cuphead is a Steam indie success. It's a usual twin-stick shooter. And so Acecraft, I expect to do far better, but it looks like it's stalling. They did a huge UA push, and then they've essentially just dumped it. Right now, we're looking at revenue, and it peaked at $6 million in September, but it looks like October came in at basically less than half than that. And it looks like November is trailing down even more, and downloads didn't look great either. So this looks like a big miss. And the other misses that they've had are in their squad RPG portfolio. So they have Mobile Legends Bang Bang, which is $200 million. And then basically the rest of the portfolio is squad RPGs. And we've been covering this as a recurring theme, the problems with squad RPGs and how the genre is suffering. This is a great case example in how RPGs have been suffering under them. So Watcher of the Realms, they did a huge UA push for. They seem to have completely abandoned it now, or at least they're toning it down quite a bit. It's down 41% year over year. And of course, like my dear Mobile Legends Adventure, which is taking the Mobile Legends Bang Bang MOBA IP and transforming it into an RPG, has been suffering for a really long time. And all the problems in squad RPGs can be told inside of this game. And I'm someone who has spent $5,000 in Mobile Legends Adventure. Like, this is my game. Oof. And we're looking at screenshots right now. And just to give you an idea of the problems, you have your normal gear system, right? You have your different gear slots you can equip to your character. And they were running out of essentially progression space. So they added what they call Orlay cards. Now, Orlay cards are essentially just another 9 set of gear equipments that you have to collect and upgrade. So again, you're not only just collecting the gear pieces, you're also individually upgrading each gear piece. So there's 4 gear pieces on your character. There's 2 artifacts on your character, so essentially 6 base gear slots that you have to individually upgrade. Then you have 9 Orlay cards. You have to upgrade those. And we're not done, ladies and gentlemen, because they added glory gems. There are 10 different glory gems you have to upgrade. And again, this is just on a per character basis. And then they added the Wheel of Time. The Wheel of Time is another gear system that you have to upgrade, and essentially just gives you HP and defense. And just to top it off, they recently launched companions, which are now individualized animals each of the characters have. It has become almost like RPG slop, where they just keep adding more and more gear systems on top of one another, and they don't seem to have a clear idea of where to take this genre. And this, to me, is a great example of all the problems squad RPG is having right now. No new ideas beyond we need to increase the power score, and let's just throw a bunch of JPEGs in there to help game designers execute against that.
Oof.
Yikes.
Yeah. That is rough.
I'm watching Acecraft. This game was actually made. Phil likes to say, what's the thesis behind this? But now I want to ask, what's the thesis behind this?
No.
Have you guys seen this?
It's a twin stick shooter, which means it has core IP problems, but you could run the Happy playbook, right? Take a Steam IP, slap on some good monetization around it, and see how far it can go. But it's clear to me this one did not work out. This has been falsified. It's hard to make twin stick shooters happen. There's a lot of real-time inputs. There were a lot of mobile games that were trying to do this very early on that were never able to scale. And so, hey, what if we take the Cuphead visual aesthetic, throw on some more modern Eastern-style monetization? I think that's a good thesis. Just doesn't look like it's playing out.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
A quick one. Arc Games is now independent publisher. They are a leading publisher for AA and indie titles for PC and console. And they are finally removed the shackles, the yoke of tyranny from Lars at Embracer.
Oh, God.
Jason Park, friend of the podcast. Be free, my friend. Be free. Anyway, they're a great publisher of indie games if you ever need a publisher for your portfolio. But anyway, good luck, Jason.
Was Embracer kind of like like a laissez-faire type of a ruler that didn't even care, just as long as you were acquired.
You know what, Mr. Mishka? You have been listening to Lars too much, right? Because you listen to the press releases, you listen to him speak on podcasts, whatever. He's full of shit. He doesn't know what he was doing. He never knew what he was doing. He was tyrannical, right?
Really? Like, would he
it.
just say, like, this game needs to ship tomorrow, everybody works, 996? Or like, what do you mean?
The way it's been described to me many times is he was totally schizophrenic, right? Because he didn't have any control or understanding of what was happening. And so the rules and things would be set down, budgets would be cut, the ability to do deals would be shuttered. It was a disaster from the get-go, right? And so why I was covering this so negatively over the years was because I was constantly hearing these stories of this bullshit, right?
Got it.
Sorry.
Thank you
Good
for the rundown.
All right. Well, let's go to the next topic, which is where the winds meet. So I kept seeing this pop up in the top Steam charts, and I was like, what is this game? So Chinese studio, Everstone Studio, which is published by NetEase, announced that its wuxia open world ARPG, Where Winds Meet, has reached 9 million players in the 2 weeks since its official launch out of beta on PS5, Steam, EGS, and it's a free-to-play game. So last week it was number 7 in top Steam charts by units and also by DAU, thanks to VGI for that. It also has about a 50-50 PlayStation Steam split with almost 4.5 million units sold. And regionally, what's interesting, Cress, I went ahead and looked at this because I know you would ask, 70% is EU and North America. I think North America was like 42%. So this is a Chinese-based game and Chinese theme that is seemingly resonating, unless it's VPN stuff, as we always talk about.
I think it's distributed outside of Steam in China. I think that's why the distribution is the way it is.
Yeah, PlayStation was 50% of like 2.5 million units on PlayStation.
Consoles don't have a lot of
fishy.
distribution in China. Remember, they've been
fishy.
banned for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't believe this at all.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't believe this?
Okay. Well, let me just finish and then I'll let you go. So this is interesting, and something to keep an eye on is that mobile's in pre-reg, and it's now launching. I think yesterday they announced it was December 12th. When I was looking yesterday, it was actually December 31st on my phone. But so December 12th is like next week, and it's cross-play, progression across mobile, PC, and PlayStation. It's not on Xbox. And visually, it's just absolutely gorgeous and stunning. So now I will hand it over. Phil.
I mean, look, it's a live service MMO. It's got 15 million different currencies. Monetization is aggressive. Yes, they don't say pay to win, but they have pay for progression, whatever stupid term people want to tell themselves on how to disambiguate those two. I will say the thing that they're going forward with is Diablo-style Path of Exile resets, seasonal resets. I think that's becoming more and more popular. I'd love to see more games do this. I think it's a solution to the squad RPG problem we talked about. I'm surprised more mobile games don't do it. It is a brutal system to set up. As we know, FIFA did it, but it's how you keep a lot of power score economy sustainable. And so it'll be interesting to see if we see more of this pop up, especially with extraction shooters and cross-play, cross-progression, dual platform, like all from China. Genshin has like really kicked this off. Delta Force has been killing it.
Yep.
Eric, you're shaking your head. Why are you shaking your head on this?
No.
Amazing.
This is like the Game of Thrones game. These free-to-play AAA MMOs. Game of Thrones King's Road is a game that came out that is insanely good, but no one's playing it. And I've been playing it like a crack addict. They're replicating the same idea with a different theme from NetEase, because the Game of Thrones is a Netmarble, but it's free to play. It's cross-platform. Both of them are console and mobile and PC. So it's really, really interesting. And I'm wondering, I still don't understand why a game like this, where the winds meet, is doing better than Game of Thrones. But that's me. So I'm downloading where winds meet. This is my kind of game, is what I'm trying to say. And so I'm going to be playing it.
It's
I'll
gorgeous.
Get back to you next
I
week.
mean,
Yeah.
I work with quite a few folks from China, and what they're telling me is that, this plays right into the myths and the history, and these types of games get a lot of promotion and coverage and boost from the Chinese government as well. Plus, it's really an untapped market, these types of stories. It's what happened with Wukong, back last year. Now we're seeing it cross-platform, and now we're seeing the type of like massive support that Genshin is getting behind this kind of a category. So it's not squad RPG, it's open world ARPG. And it's really starting to take off. By the way, we're looking at if you're watching some of the visuals, it looks like a console quality, like highest quality AAA game.
You can modify
and also
the
there's
characters.
AI. There's AI in this game, ladies and gentlemen, because when the developers are Chinese, there's no one to yell at by themselves. It's just an echo chamber. They have Gen AI dialogues with the NPCs.
Where's that journalist? Where's that art journalist? Where you at now, son?
Mishka, that's exactly my point. Thank you for bringing that up, right? Like, where is the bombing review scores? Guess what? No one gives a shit. no one gives a shit. West
they're just
needs
afraid.
to wake up to this.
It's not art. So the difference in this game, I was reading a little bit about it, is that it's AI NPCs and you send them off on missions, and actually people are gaming the system where the characters aren't even going on the missions, but they're getting the rewards. So it's not the AI art or AI voice. I think the voice, the other topic that was being, discussed was that, we're taking the jobs of voice actors or of artists. So this is a different AI implementation.
You could say that for writers. You could say we're taking the job of writers.
You could say it for writers.
All those Mass Effect writers will not be able to have a job anymore. You can make the same complaints here. This is how the wheel of technology moves.
What I love is that people are hacking it.
I'm curious, what does it take to make such a game like this? Like, what is the size of a team to not only make this, but
people.
to operate it? This is a live operated game on multiple platforms.
There's two things. One, yes, I'm sure this is super expensive to make. There's no doubt. Just the art itself. However, I think they are reusing engines that have been successful in the past, and they're basically just reskinning these engines for both mobile and console, right? So that saves them some way. But I'm sure it's a huge team in China that's getting paid nothing relatively. And although those expenses are coming up these days, I've been told, but this is not something that can be replicated in the US, right? Full stop. Like MMOs are super complicated to develop with back end tech and all the other systems that are required.
Chris, you're a huge World of Warcraft fan. I've never played it. Why isn't it on mobile?
World of Warcraft, the inputs are too complicated for mobile, frankly.
Okay.
Have you played Journey to the West? You kidding me? Blizzard could have totally sent this off in a NetEase style deal like they did Diablo.
Could they create an experience, a World of Warcraft experience on mobile? Yes. Is the current World of Warcraft playable on mobile? No. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I think that's the challenge you have with the older games. If you were to create WoW from today's lens of let's make a cross-platform experience, maybe they could have done something similar. But I ran into this again on League of Legends, which is we had to make TFT cross-platform, and we were hamstrung by 15-year-old tech of how do you actually make these things work together? And we had to make concessions so that we would be able to have the crossplay, because you can actually crossplay TFT from PC to mobile. So I think if they started over, they could probably do something different.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, Philip, but I would say that I think Blizzard completely screwed the pooch by not figuring out a way of making a mobile version of World of Warcraft, right? I think a game like this, with the World of Warcraft theme and all that stuff, outside of current World of Warcraft for PC, makes total fucking sense, right? That should have been done, right? But they would never do that, right? Ever, right? Because that's not the way they think about their IP, and they want, to be the purist that they are, right? But I think it totally makes sense to do this but it would not be the current World of Warcraft on PC. It would be a different SKU.
I guess my question is, why haven't they used NetEase to get that done, though? I don't expect Blizzard Irvine to do this. Of course they wouldn't do this.
They broke up.
They broke up because of negotiations around World of Warcraft. I think it's far more.
You don't think they ever were moving forward at some point after especially seeing the success of Diablo Immortal with Western product management and Eastern developers to put something like this together, specifically a SKU for China?
I have no doubt it was pitched a gajillion times by NetEase, Netmarble, Tencent. Any fucking Asian developer pitched them a million times on this, and they said no.
Yeah.
Right? I'm almost 100% certain.
Do you think this is the South Korea deal that's being shopped? I remember StarCraft. Remember we covered that a couple twigs ago, probably 100 twigs ago. They were shopping StarCraft to Korean developers. You could sign us up to somewhere in Korea, right? Korea, very good at MMOs.
Well, the NetEase deal is back on because they kiss and made up after Bobby left, but a lot of the Blizzard folks at the time, it might be different now, didn't think Diablo Immortal was successful. They didn't recognize the value that SKU had. Now, I think all of that is different now because we can clearly see, how they're still focused on it. I would have to imagine in today's new world that they would be more open to a pitch on WoW from NetEase than they were before. Who knows? Like maybe they actually, are having those discussions.
I think World of Warcraft is too sacred for even now even today.
They did Rumble, right? Like they were like, let's try different genres.
Right.
Rumble.
I'm not saying that was right. I'm just saying
We're ignoring the
that's what
big
they
thing
did.
here is the business model is so jacked. Like they can't get their heads around free to play and pay to win, right? That's completely against their entire mantra. Still,
they
to
did
this
for
day.
Immortal though.
For Immortal,
They
they,
did
But
for
for
it
Immortal, they
is.
did. But for World of Warcraft, I don't think they would ever do that for World of Warcraft. Like maybe
The
now.
thing is, by having
Yeah.
a Chinese specific SKU, you give yourself plausible deniability for
Nope.
Reddit, and you get
Yeah.
to hold your head high
Phil.
and say, "I don't know what happens over there in China."
I kind of agree
I
with
don't
you,
know.
Phil. I kind of agree with you, but that is not the mentality that I've heard from people at Blizzard. Like you're destroying the franchise by doing that, or you're lessening it, and that's why Diablo Immortal
Where are the
was
money
so
people?
controversial.
Yeah.
Where's Microsoft and their 30% margins? Like,
WoW
come on.
Immortal.
Get in there and say you're doing this. Like,
Today, TWIG 360, we say, please make WoW Immortal. Go. NetEase. Co-dev. Please make it happen. All right. So, Mishka, let's go through a couple Steam games you wanted to cover.
Oh, yes. So there were a couple of Steam games that launched pretty much at the same time, and I'm just bringing them together because these two companies were set up on the same date and launched the games on the same date and had different results. So the first one, shout out to Finland, finally a piece of good news. The Last Caretaker crossed 100,000 in sales during the first month. So shout out to also Game Discover newsletter. If you're not subscribe to that one.
They're great.
Yeah. So The Last Caretaker is a Steam game by Channel 37, a Finnish veteran, very veteran, meaning old, in the AI native team that was founded in 2021 and backed by Supercell Investments. So they have crossed 120,000 copies in early access in just under a month, which is about $4.2 million in gross revenue for the first launch month. Now, this game is a survival crafting game, costs $35, was launched this month, maxed at about 10,000 CCUs, and is still at about 5,000 CCUs in early access. Probably lifetime, they will sell 500,000 copies, which will pretty much get them to 15 million in gross after discounts and so forth, maybe $10 million in net revenue. So it is ROI positive. And based on the public information, the game cost about $4.5 million till date. So essentially, they reached a payback in just 2 months on the whole project, and they will have enough money to self-fund the next game. And I know these production costs because of the absurd Finnish laws that make them disclose financial information and give all this information to competitors. So way to go with transparency, Finland. Anyway, I think this is overall a successful game. It's a success for this indie studio with really handful of employees. I don't know, 2, 3, and they said they have 8 contractors. So really, really tiny team. My question is more like, Eric, is this a success for investors, or is it time to accept that gaming is not really VC compatible anymore?
Of course, this is not a success for investors. This is like a lifestyle business at best. Like, no. I mean, I'm happy for them. I think they did well, and this is a good outcome for the team. But it's not good for an investor. This is just not going to pay back. Even with this success, they still have to start all over again.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about something we've been talking about for a long time, which is VCs are pulling back from these kinds of AA, single A PC console opportunities. And all of them are in Turkey right now trying to find the next puzzle game until that starts to become oversaturated. And then I'm sure they're going to China to invest
Vietnam.
in Chinese companies. It's
They're already
Vietnam is the next one. It's just like the market. They just go from thing to thing to thing. And so everyone went at the end of COVID to, AA, hey, let's do, indies are great, Steam. And now they're seeing that that's not working. But I think Cress's point has always been VC is not the place to go to put your money in gaming. It's just not the right match or the right fit.
100%. This is a publishing deal. This is not a VC deal, right?
Yeah.
It should have been done by a publisher.
I mean, of course, I knew that you're going to say that. And that's why I kind of wanted to bring this up, because people are almost angry that they're not getting VC investments to their new games or new game projects. And this is a great example of a successful indie game with really tiny team. They got the pre-seed investment. Everything went well. They released a game. They're doing well. And it's still, despite all the success, it's still not a good investment case.
Oh my God. Did you see Tim Wharton's LinkedIn?
Oh,
Did
I?
Which
one?
God. So I know his latest one was like, hey, I'm looking for $5 million.
Just five?
Just five,
Just
even
five?
though he's
Sure,
already
good.
spent 40. And he goes through like who he's already talked to. And so the comments are like, who else can possibly do that? I mean, it's just crazy that asking for $5 million is a no man's land in the world of VC. I mean, even for the people I'm talking to, you can only go and ask for like $1 or $2 million to raise, and people aren't even willing to do that. So
Yeah.
it's completely dried up. And you know, he's got the baggage of I've already spent 40 million. So who's going to want to put, you know, 5 more million into that to finish something that anyway, like that whole topic, I think is another one that Chris, I can't wait for you to shit on.
Total funding,
Maybe some other time.
$36.9 million. Yeah. Well, talking about funding,
Okay,
I want to
keep going.
talk about the second Steam game. So PlayerUnknown Productions from the PUBG creator Brandon Green. They released their first game. So that was also started on the same year as the finished Channel 37, 2021. And they released their first game, which is called Prologue, Go Way Back. So basically, this is the warm-up title from the studio. And the studio is fully remote, AAA world-building studio, headed by the great and powerful Kim and Nordstrom, actually, as a CEO. And they raised in 2021 $70 million from Krafton. 70 million, yes.
Oof.
It's almost identical. Same founding date, same platform, much better funding, arguably much better team, bigger team, more experienced team, more expensive team. The difference is also that this is also a fully remote team. So they released this game, which is interesting. It's a survival crafting game, just like Channel 37. But in this game, you're not fighting against anybody. It's a single player, and you are essentially surviving the environment. So this is like a normal day in Sweden or another one. Like there's anything is trying to kill you, from trees to climate to bad food, bad meatballs, and
Trees. I love it.
Trees. Yeah, you can die from a tree here in this game. So it's that kind of like a survival game. You're just walking around. You're hungry. You're cold. You're this. You're that, and you die. And so you trying to get out of the map.
Ooh, the compass play. We're looking at the video, and
it's
like,
it's
guys, you
hard.
have compass play.
Exactly. It's like super hardcore. There's no map. There's no nothing. There's, of course, no weapons, and there's no that kind of enemies. It's just, it gets dark and you die. It's in early access and it doesn't look very good. So it peaked at 182 players. There were 14 players at the moment when I was looking.
I'm sorry. Can you say that again, Mishka? Just to clarify, were you missing a digit?
Okay, no,
Wait,
just 182.
182.
What?
Yeah.
Is that just the friends and family build?
So again, early access, but I have to say Channel 37 is also early access. And we've talked multiple times that early access is the launch. I mean, it took Tarkov 8 years to exit early access. So it's quite polished. And I don't want to be negative about this game. I just wanted to raise that this is an alternative reality, especially if you put in a lot of funding and you release a game. And I don't know. I wanted to ask Chris, like, what do you think about the strategy of almost like releasing a prequel and kind of showing what your studio can do, and then go in and try to raise funding? Because I assume they're raising funding because I saw them at Slush. They were doing these big keynotes with Brandon. I kind of accidentally saw that they're in Middle East doing keynotes already at like these investor events. So the only reason a founder is, in Middle East and at Slush is that they're raising money. They're not promoting this game. So, Chris, what do you think about this strategy?
Well, are you sure they raised 70 million?
It wasn't in Crunchbase, but there was a headline that says that Krafton reportedly put in $70 million. But this was 2021. 2021 was a different world.
Okay,
and also,
okay.
Brandon Green's metaverse pitch is strong. And this is a guy coming from PUBG. It's like,
Yeah.
like he's generated gazillion billion dollars.
And so this is our friend Kim Nordstrom, who's in this company.
He's the CEO of this company. So be
Really?
gentle. Be gentle.
I love Kim. I hate
know.
to do this,
We
but
love-
like,
Why this
first of all,
genre, though?
the fact that they use PlayerUnknown in their name for their new studio is a little bit
Shady.
shady as shit, right? For
Well, that's Brandon.
PUBG, right?
When he joined Crafton, like he was PlayerUnknown, like he was the modder, and so he brought the mod, and that was PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. Like he is PlayerUnknown. PUBG is PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. He's PlayerUnknown. So he owns the PU out of PUBG.
Okay, so I think raising $70 million and this is their first entree is a little bit frightening. On the positive side, I think Crafton is a publisher and therefore they will have more flexibility in terms of how they fund this stuff. And this makes a little bit more sense than a venture capital investment, right? But so far, like obviously this game is not performing well. The fidelity is really high. I don't think this is a cheap game to make.
But is it a proof of concept?
It's a good team. That's what I mean, Jen, is like this is a strategy to like after 4 years, this is a proof of concept. This is not what we're intent to build. That's why it's called Prologue. And we are building something much bigger, open world, AAA, MMO, cryptocurrency, you name it. I was listening to the talk. This is a demo of what we will be building.
All right, let me speculate here. This is my speculation,
Please.
right? If he's out there trying to raise funds outside of Crafton, then it's very likely that Crafton has said, fuck no, we're not giving you any more money, right? Like that's a bad place to be, particularly when you've had, according to you, 70 million invested already. So now they've built this engine, they built the tech, they built their team. So they move on to the next project and hoping to God they find some other investor to do it. But if Crafton's not doing it, then they have a tough road ahead of them, I would say.
Yeah, especially
So
if the investor has access to SteamDB. I wonder if Changhan Kim, the CEO of Crafton, is now like using ChatGPT to figure out how to get out of this deal.
Right.
I just don't know why you would pick this like single player. I know that survival crafting is a thing, Phil, right?
Yes. Yes.
But single player?
Well, hold up. Well, we don't know where the game itself is going. You got to remember that Rust and Arc have been mainstays on the Steam top 10, top 20 PSU charts forever. And so I was just wondering when the survival crafting thesis was going to take over. And I think we've just seen it. Mishka just showed 2 games that are finally starting to emerge. Now, remember, there's another one. Do you guys remember Roboto Games, which got 15 million from A16Z? They announced their game Stormforge, which is also more of an RPG style survival crafting game. And if you look at extraction shooters, there's definitely a lot of tie-in of how extraction shooters, you can see the same inventory systems, a lot of the same mechanics you've seen in Tarkov, you've seen some of these games too. So like the thesis of like doing survival crafting makes sense to me. I don't think this is the right way to approach that thesis. I don't understand what the interesting spin is. But I agree with you. I think this is a weird take on the genre. And I'm not quite sure how you would expect to scale a single player game. I don't see where the money is.
Well, that's why I think it's a proof of concept.
Exactly.
Because even though you have an established founder, almost no one ever lands the plane on their first game. And so are they saying, hey, let's get something out. Let's try some mechanics. Let's get some early feedback. And maybe this, we're looking at something that's way too early, although I would have kept it under Steam keys then and not put it into early access.
You can do regional locks on Steam. No one does this.
I know.
It's crazy to me.
But I think what's happening is people don't understand the new Steam publishing. Like I keep running into veterans like these folks who don't understand that the world has changed. And even though we talk about it on the podcast all the time, that early access is a launch, people don't understand you can still utilize. I mean, think about Deadlock. Remember what they did with you have to bring a friend, you have to have co-op keys, and that still kind of allowed for people to play the game, but kept it under wraps. So I think perhaps, and again, I'm speculating that they're not playing to the new Steam publishing that you need to do if my hypothesis of like proof of concept is anything to be, talked about.
I'll speculate one thing. I think that Kim Nordstrom has such an experience from mobile, and he probably approached this from the perspective, let's get the team to ship so that we can build from there, rather than building this 10-year game like Clang or a Star Citizen type of an approach.
Yeah.
And that's what I was asking. Like, is this that would be the best way on mobile to kind of throw something out there? But is it the best way on Steam where you're kind of putting something out there and people already have those expectations and it's much more sort of a brand driven? You can't just, put something under a different developer name and kind of get the reps in before the big launch. So that would be my assumption. Again, I don't know what they were thinking, why they were doing this way, but I feel like they just wanted to get the reps in from launching.
Yep. In today's hyper-competitive digital landscape, understanding your app's journey from discovery to download isn't just insightful, it's the difference between scaling and stagnating. Enter AppsFlyer, the undisputed leader in mobile attribution and marketing analytics. They've mastered the science of making every ad dollar work harder by revealing exactly where your players come from and how they interact with your app. Their platform transforms mountains of complex data into clear, actionable intelligence that separates winning campaigns from budget-draining experiments. And I know that many of the top game companies leverage AppsFlyer and are a key partner in their success. AppsFlyer, where your app's potential meets performance.
Attention app and game developers. Are you ready to unlock the secrets behind the world's top performing apps and games? With Sensor Tower, you get the ultimate competitive edge, whether it's breaking into new markets, fine-tuning your UA strategies, or boosting monetization. Dive into data like never before, track global trends across app stores, analyze market-leading in-app purchase and in-app ad strategies, and benchmark your performance with real-time insight. The best part, Sensor Tower doesn't just deliver data, it helps you turn it into action. With intuitive tools and expert analysis, it's everything you need to make smarter, faster decisions. Thousands of app and game studios, from indie creators to global giants, trust Sensor Tower to help them win. So why not you? Start your free trial today at sensortower.com. That is sensortower.com.
Game devs. Here at Heroic Labs, we know that great gameplay is what players love, but integrating metagame features like challenges, progression, and rewards is crucial for retention and monetization. But coding them is a tedious and time-consuming process. That's why top studios have turned to Hero from Heroic Labs. Hero provides a complete suite of battle-tested metagame features that are quick to implement, letting you spend more time on the core gameplay experience. Ready to ship fully featured, engaging games? Check out Hero today at heroiclabs.com.
All right, let's talk about 4X reps.
Yes, so I want to give an update on DC Dark Legion and also a game we haven't had a chance to talk about, which is Tile Survive. And these are both from Fun Plus. And remember, we were talking about Fun Plus when we covered DC Dark Legion, but they've been suffering in terms of their mobile portfolio. Everything looks like it's down. And before we get to each of those games, I think it's really important to talk about 4X in general, because beyond Merge, this is the most interesting genre in mobile. It has the most level of dynamicism, and honestly, it's a bright spot when it comes to revenue. So right now, we're looking at net revenue for 4X strategy reported by Sensor Tower. This is global. So again, we're going to have our usual asterisk for Android, China. And you can see that revenue peaked in 2021 for 4X, and yet there's another peak this year. It's about to hit all-time highs at about 700 million. And by the way, this is per month. Per month, 4X is doing $700 million. And you can see there was actually a dip in between that 2021 high and that 2025 high around, you can see 2024. Does anyone know what's causing a lot of that dip really at the end of 2023 into 2024?
What's causing the dip?
Yeah. We have the answer to this.
The genre got really stale.
I think we're close. IDFA.
Oh, and IDFA.
Remember,
Sorry.
yeah,
IDFA.
This is where
IDFA was impacted by everything. Everything got impacted by IDFA.
But remember, in particular, it was games that have really high LTVs and depend on super targeted advertising. That's what you, Mr. Kress, have said multiple times, and
Yes.
I think you're correct about that. This genre suffered more than a lot of other ones, midcore in particular. And so when you look at the increase in 2024 to our all-time highs in 2025, it's driven by two games. What are those two games? Well, we know it's Whiteout Survival and Lost War Survival 2. have both been enormous contributors to the reemergence of 4X. Now, the other interesting part is a lot of them have really topped off. We're looking at the revenue for both of them on a weekly basis across all regions, and they've really hit equilibrium, both of those games. The other thing that I think is really important to point out about 4X, this is a US dominated genre. About 25 to 40% of 4X revenue comes from the United States. And I filtered this for just iOS so we can control for the usual Chinese Android problem. But again, I think this actually validates a lot of the original Fun Plus thesis, which is to take Eastern talent and makes games for the West. And 4X follows this pattern too. And I just think that sometimes that's something we lose because 4X have so many deep, RPG or cooperative mechanics. But this is still a Western dominated genre. And not only that, China's actually shrinking in terms of a revenue share. So if you go back and look at like 2018, China was doing roughly 30 to 40% of 4X revenue. Now they're only doing around 10 to 15%. And again, we're controlling for iOS here. So we should be capturing all of the Chinese revenue on a relative basis. That to me is a very important point that kind of gets lost. But yet when we look at like the top 4X strategy games, again, we see Last War Survival and Whiteout Survival, which by the way, 1.5 billion and 1.3 billion year-to-date revenue for both of those titles. Kingshot, number three, the one from Century Games. It has taken its mantle at number 3. Ebony has been number 4. I didn't even know how far Ebony. Yeah, Ebony, pretty incredible stuff, right? Not something that I expected to see here. The other one we haven't spent a lot of time talking about is number 8 on the list, which is Total Battle War Strategy, which sounds like they put into some sort of like stripper name generator. So what I kind of want to get to here was actually this chart right here, which is the distribution of female players in top strategy 4X games. And we'll get to like why this is important. And this is pulled from Sensor Tower. One of my favorite things about Sensor Tower is they have demographic data. And what do we think is the game with the highest share of females in 4X?
Whiteout Survival.
45% females. And that's going to be very important. I think we should talk about that in a moment. But I think the thing I want to stop here and ask you, Jen. So one of the theses of Chrome Valley, and we also see this with Truckstar, which is the other match 3 from Century Games, is to go hyper-targeted after a particular, I would argue, gender or sex is really what they're going after, with a very strong theme that resonates with them. The other strategy I'm sometimes seeing is let's make something that generally is for one gender and let's try to appeal to another gender. And in that way, we increase our TAM and we can lower CPIs. Do you think that's a fair thesis for 4X to consider?
So interesting counter. Like last week, you had the other thesis, which was like the husbando games. So Love in Deep Space or versus like the K, which is like for guys. And then was it Love in Deep Space, which is the husbando game that's like clearly for women because it's all about the hot guys. So what's interesting about 4X is that you can find themes that are gender neutral. Like Whiteout Survival is gender neutral. Like there isn't necessarily anything that leans one way or the other. And the play pattern of 4X, which is I get together with my team to protect my base, I go do missions and come back. The cooperative and competition-based gameplay of 4X makes sense for everyone. And that's why this genre really works. And I think what people are figuring out is that you don't have to just target men in this genre. As clearly, you can see by most of these games are in the 40 to 50%. Remember that in mobile overall, more players and payers in many cases are women. And that might be the distribution to some of the puzzle and more casual games. But there is an untapped opportunity that you see in women players. One of my the companies that I advise, it's a small game. They have a game called Nebula, and it is a 4X kind of strategy game based on political intrigue. They actually found something that was interesting. A lot of women were really interested in that the theme or the context of coming in for political intrigue, but they yet didn't kind of stay through and retain to the deep 4X gameplay. So I think there is a balance of going after women and then making sure that you've got the gameplay components that you want to keep some of them in the gameplay. So that's what I think people can really leverage is making sure you've got a gender neutral theme. Your play patterns do have both, I call it cooperation. You compete and you also cooperate together because that tends to be what female gamers want to do. And then you can grow your overall audience. Does that answer?
Yes, Mr. Kress, would you like to add something?
Can I take a crack at this? I'm going to tread very
Please.
lightly on this particular subject because I don't want to get myself into trouble. I would say that when you talk about players, people playing the game is different from people that are spending on the game, right? The power fantasy that makes this game super compelling, I feel, is more geared towards men in terms of spending. Now, that's my sexist remark for the podcast. What is clear about all these games, and if you go back to the other chart, is literally every single top game in 4X is Chinese, right? Almost, right?
Oh, it's crazy, right?
Versus like 10 years ago, and we were talking about Game of War, we're talking Machine Zone, we're talking about obviously Kabam way back in the day. Like, it is crazy, like how this market is just dominated by the Chinese, first of all, right? Correct. You have these super casual gameplay mechanics that are being advertised, luring in these audiences, including the women. I would imagine that is probably why this numbers are so high of people who are playing the game versus who are spending. And that, I think, is what we're seeing here. Not necessarily that we're seeing a huge uptick in the number of women that are spending on something like, a 4X game. So
hold that thought, because it's a great segue to Tile Survive. That's exactly what I need to hear from you.
I think women are spending, but go ahead.
So one thing, just DC Dark Legion update. No one cares anymore. Game is dead. Revenue's gone down.
Yeah,
so
no.
DC Dark Legion is falling off a cliff.
Making a squad RPG core with Fallout Shelter style home base progression and
DC IP
4X map didn't work.
and DC IP.
And
Philip, don't be so dismissive, though. I think at least it was a good at bat, right?
Oh, no. I completely agree. I completely agree that it was good that someone went out and said, could we do something stronger on the squad RPG side, add a little bit of that Fallout Shelter? Like, I think they had interesting pieces together. It just didn't work out. And it's pretty clear to me looking at the weekly active user chart here, it started to crumble. They're down to under 100,000 weekly active users. And on the revenue basis, it's basically just downward sloping. It was a great idea. It was a great shot. The interesting part here has been Tile Survive, which is actually continuing to scale. And so right now we're looking at monthly revenue. They're hitting around 6 million, and it looks like they're going to accelerate beyond that. Let's see. They're starting to taper off a little bit on UA. But the interesting piece is, again, using this wad out style survival life sim. Again, life sim, keyword coming up, style Fatui, where you're managing really survival for your home base exactly like you are in Whiteout Survival. And as you can see, like the art style here is a lot softer.
Yes.
And so I think that ties back exactly to what you're saying,
Yes.
Mr. Kress, which is that this not only entry point in terms of art, but also in terms of the actual gameplay is more female centric, which I think widens your CPI base and goes after an untapped market. The other thing that makes it Tile Survive, by the way, is that you're implementing these energy generators, which connects to your different tiles and powers them on. So again, you kind of get some of that really simplistic life sim style economy builder, which has kind of like died out largely. But the other part that they end up bringing to the game is our usual squad RPG mechanics. Remember, we've been talking about the other thing that 4X has basically done is they've absorbed squad RPG faster than squad RPG could absorb 4X. You can see here, you have your roster of characters. They have a star system, gear system, all the things that we've been talking about for a really long time. And the art style looks familiar. Does anyone know where we can also have found that art style, this art style right here?
Looks like Whiteout Survival.
It is almost identical. So I am
the same
flipping
characters
right now between the both of them. And corporate wants you to find the difference between these two pictures.
Yeah.
One of these things is not like the
Probably the same live ops team on both.
Well, so this started. So Whiteout Survival, Phil, I love that you are bringing this up. They were the first to casualize the art style in 4X, which led to the expansion. Then King Shot is also extremely casual in its art style. And now you're seeing I'll call it the dreamification of art style, which is every Turkish developer is ripping off the dream style. Mm-hmm. And now you're seeing the same thing in 4X between the Chinese developers. It's like fascinating to watch the absolute ripping off of each other.
And remember, it started as a Steam. Remember King Shot? That core was from an indie Steam game that they kind of took that action RPG look. And right now we're looking at the standard recruitment page. So where you do your banner polls in Tile Survive. And this is just a very stark picture in terms of art. If you're on YouTube, I recommend taking a look at it. I mean, it looks like K-pop Survivors.
It does.
I mean, look at how much pink.
K-pop
Demon
Hunters.
Hunters, excuse me.
Yeah.
And look at how much pink is on this page. Look at the softness of the lines.
You know what the story I'm really interested in? It's the Century Game story, because how like Century Games CEO is the COO of FunPlus, and their office is former FunPlus office. I've been there. I just realized this, and I was like, what happened there? Because Century Games is now the top 4X, but they used to be FunPlus. Anyways, I think that's an interesting
that's
story.
a case study.
That's like, can somebody slide in my DMs and tell me about that story? Because that sounds, fishy.
I want the case study on how Chinese developers put 2,000 people against cross-play, cross-platform, and then how are Chinese developers like Century Games taking over the 4X genre. These are future topics for us.
We need to go to China to figure these out.
I know. Somebody invite us. All right, everyone. That wraps it for today. And thank you. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Yep.
You did it. You made it to the end of the episode. As a fan of the show, it would help us out if you'd subscribe and leave us a review on the podcast service of your choice. Those stars and likes, while a small action on your part, mean a lot to us and help to grow the show. More importantly, are you a member of the Deconstructor of Fun Slack group? If you have 5 years or more of games industry experience, go to deconstructoroffun.com/Slack and apply to join. Join the games industry best professional community filled with peers always willing to lend a hand, or subscribe to our newsletter to get all the latest insights from the Deconstructor of Fun content creators. Thanks for listening.